It's Gill with Anime on Location, and we're here at Matsuricon 2012 with Kevin McKeever. So what has been new with you at Robotech.com? What's been happening?
Well, there's a lot going on in the Robotech franchise. We have the live-action movie set up over at Warner Brothers with Tobey Maguire attached to produce. We also have a new animated feature in production called Robotech Love, Live Alive.
Awesome. What have you been doing yourself to make Robotech.com and your position with the Robotech franchise move forward?
Well, we've been doing a lot of things over the past 12 months. We've instituted a new social media networking platform where our Robotech.com website interacts with both Facebook and Twitter, so fans are able to interact through social media platforms, and we're very happy with our social media growth right now. On top of that, we've been doing the Robotech Convention Tour, which we've been doing for almost 7 years straight now, which is very, very good. Of course, we also have the Love Live Alive we talked about before. It's important to interact with the fans and keep our industry and our franchise strong, because we talked about this. I'm sure you all have seen before. The industry's been going through some pretty rough times recently, and it's important for us to just keep going strong and keep interacting with the fans and just making sure we do a slow and steady growth.
Sounds good. There is a sequel to Shadow Chronicles that I've been hearing about, either in the planning phases, or can you provide us with any more information on that?
Well, right now we're working on Robotech Love Live Alive, which is our next animated project. That'll be completed this year. Once that's done, we can focus on Shadow Rising, which will be the sequel to Robotech the Shadow Chronicles. Once again, so that's part of that slow and steady growth. Now people are always saying, "Well, Kevin, what took so long? It took so long with Robotech. Where is it?" Well, folks, there's been a lot going on in the industry, as we talked about before, and we want to make sure we work with our partners, including Warner Brothers, including A&E, which is now distributing the original 85 episodes of Robotech on DVD. We want to make sure that we're working with our partners to continue that slow and steady growth. And now, with everything in place, we're going to finish Love Live Alive this year, and then we're going to focus on Shadow Rising.
Right, awesome. Speaking of Robotech, during the planning phases, was there any discussion to incorporate Orgus into Robotech, and how would that have been done? If you
That was way before my time. I was just too young and running home to watch Robotech back then. I don't know if I'm really the one to talk about that. I do know there was some discussions of maybe using other shows back when Robotech became a really big hit as maybe a sequel, but then eventually Harmony Gold decided, let's make our own, and that was what eventually became the Robotech 2 The Sentinels project. But I mean, there was some discussion, but Harmony Gold realized, the best way to do it is make your own Robotech and work it way in, then try to shoehorn another series in.
All right. How are you enjoying your stay here in Columbus and your time at Matsuricon?
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say I always love coming to Matsuricon. Since I came here in 2009, it's always been a great show. These folks have always treated me very, very well. The fans have always been wonderful. Great turnout for our panels, no matter where we are. You were just in one of my panels. You saw the turnout where we were talking about quantitative easing. Yes, at an anime convention. So I mean, it's been a great turnout, wonderful time. Always love coming here. They invited me again. I was like, I couldn't wait to come back out.
And your panel was great, by the way. I mean, there's not really a lot of panels that discuss the mechanics of the economics that are involved with bringing these titles over stateside and the mechanism of the industry in general.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important we start talking about this because, fans, look, you've read the headlines. You've watched the anime industry do all this stuff. Everyone's like, what's happening? How did we get here? And instead of just panicking online, let's sit down. Let's talk about the fundamental economics of how our industry was formed and how those fundamentals are changing and what's making them change. So then people walk out of that panel. I remember I was walking out of the panel when we were coming down here. People were like, thank you. That was really informative. That was really a lot. And this is not easy stuff to talk about. Quantitative easing, I mean, my God, that's like Sominex to most people. But you explain it to how people can understand it, and they're like, okay, I'm starting to get this now. I'm starting to understand why these things are happening. And once people understand why it's happening, they can understand more of, okay, how do we fix it? What do we have to do to make it better? And that's the key thing.
Sounds good. So if you could sum up in one simple phrase what the best way to fix it would be, what could you...
These are complex problems, and it's not one simple phrase. I would say right now what we as an industry, this is industry, not the fans, what we as an industry have to start doing is just we have to start making more anime aimed at the mainstream is the key thing. To make it so gateway shows that people can come in and watch. Because when one anime show becomes a big hit, it benefits everybody else. And that's the key, and that's the primary thing we have to focus on. It sounds very simple, but there's a lot of, as you saw in the panel, there's a lot of hurdles to make that happen. But it's what I think we have to start doing as an industry. So.
No, I remember, I think when Dumbean was being released on DVD, there was a lot of discussion about Leisner and Giant Gorg being brought over to the United States. And once that started to falter because the last 2 volumes had much smaller production rates, there was a lot of people that said that maybe those series that had that same were in that same genre, were in that similar subject matter, started to they were dropped from possibly being licensed. So maybe it branches out. If one series is successful, then there are other series that are affected by it, and vice versa.
See, this is such a complex. I was telling this during the panel today. Somebody was raising their hand. I was trying to just give you an idea. I was trying to give an answer. I was like, just put your hand down, because this answer is going to take me like 5 solid minutes to explain. So, I mean, you just want to make sure that people understand the fundamental economics. And believe me, folks, this is not easy to talk about. It's very complex, very technical issues involved. So you just want to have it so they can understand it. They can understand the issue involved, and then and then you can sort of extrapolate it from there. So the industry is going through changes. We all know that. We've all seen that. And the key is that we as an industry have to just adapt to these changes, and it's like in any industry when it has to adapt. It takes a while.
This is an era in which every industry is adapting to the information era that we're in. Right. Anyways, what news, notes, projects, any miscellaneous information that you can share with us about what is in the future for Robotech aside?
There's actually a lot. We have Love Live Alive in production right now. We're working on casting the movie right now. You should expect to see some casting information in the fall. I think you'll see a lot more information about that in the fall as we're doing a lot of our voice work. Of course, we have the live action film, and of course we have the Robotech Shadow Rising as well. So there's actually a lot of good stuff in the pipeline, and eventually I think we're going to come out of here and make a lot of great things that fans are really going to enjoy.
Right. Sounds wonderful. Any final words to the people watching?
Final words, guys. It's always great coming here to Matsuricon. It's always great talking to the fans. If you ever have a chance to come down to an anime convention, please do so. They're great. They're great, entertaining, fun things, even when we talk about hardcore economics. So, folks, thank you very much. I've really enjoyed coming here.
Right. Thank you very much. Kevin McKeever, everyone.